know, and what I find interesting is that Obito is very much like a lot of characters that Naruto comes across who were a lot like how he was when he was a little boy. You know, they've got that false bravado about them and how awesome they're going to be. One of these days I'm going to protect everybody, it's going to be great. And so I thought, like, how could that kid that I learned of in the Chronicles of Kakashi, you know, how could that kid have grown up to be this horrible, horrible person that I'm looking at? And then the mask came off and I was like, it's him. So, and he comes, you know, and obviously Uchiha Madara was responsible for that and gets resurrected. And speaking of peeing a little from earlier, Uchiha Madara is scary as hell. Holy crap. Like, I'm like, he's taking on Naruto, Killer Bee, Kakashi, who else is present? Good lord. Yeah, you got Bees present. I mean, I'm like, are you kidding? And he's like, I'm not really that impressed. And I'm taking out like 4 of them at once, and he's not even really breaking a sweat. And I was like, oh, goodness gracious, this is not going well. And then, of course, you know, then they resurrect the 10 Tails, sort of. I'm hoping that comes back to save everybody in the end. The fact that they didn't use the 8 Tails or the 9 Tails to resurrect the 10 Tails. Which I find interesting that it's 10 Tails, but it's a combination of 1 through 9. The math doesn't really add up, does it? Like, I don't know what that number would be because I suck at math, but I know it's not 10. I know 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 1 to 9. I know that doesn't add up to 10. I'm not that bad at math. So, what I find interesting about Naruto is we're finally reaching, I mean, we're almost at the end, right? No. We're getting close. I don't want it to happen either, right? What do we say about denial? Alright, everybody calm down. I'm hoping that, well, and the way they've been throwing in filler episodes these last couple of seasons, I mean, it'll probably take 5 more years for it to be over. Because there will be a lot of filler. You know, when you start, you're like, yay, new Naruto, you start to have it on, you hear, ding, 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 ding. You know, that little, I don't do a very good impression of the opening music for the filler episodes. You're like, yay, another flashback about another thing he did that we never heard about back when he was a little Naruto. Which is fine, it's good. I have actually liked some of the filler episodes this season, they've been nice. But, what I find interesting is that, you know, Naruto is starting to come full circle, and Obito offers Naruto the one thing he wants more than anything, which obviously be Hokage. In the Infinite Tsukuyomi, he's like, I'll make you the Hokage, you'll be happy, it'll be great. Actually, he doesn't really give him a choice. He's like, that's gonna happen. He's not offering it to him. Obito seems to believe that they're holding on to hope that doesn't exist. And I believe that he is right, and I believe that that is the thing that Naruto's here to teach us. Now, don't freak out on me. I'll explain it in a second. He's right in the sense that many of us start out our lives with a lot of ideas, ideals, hopes, dreams, and eventually we let someone or something or the world itself beat it out of us. And I can speak from experience, don't let it do that. But the hard part for us is that we look at other people and we don't see them, we see them for what they appear to be, not for what they are. And obviously that's a huge theme in Naruto, is seeing people like Rock Lee, Gaara, Neji, folks who are not necessarily easily likable when you first see them. And then, of course, they show you their backstory and you're bawling, crying by the time it's over. Kabuto, good gracious, Kabuto. Poor guy. But I'm still mad at him, I'm sorry. I can't that resurrection jutsu was a real pain in the butt. Orochimaru, he is one of the only ones that honestly I have not been able to like even muster up a slight amount of sympathy for. Like I cannot, I don't know why it is. I don't know what it is about him that bothers me so much. Maybe it's the stakes, I don't know. There's that dream I had that time. Well, what we're standing at now is the precipice of Naruto making the existential hero's choice, which is the easy path or the hard path. And Tsukiyomi is a very easy path, right? Everybody gets to live in the Matrix, basically. Like, everyone gets the awesome, perfect life. Well, not the Matrix. I know, calm down, fan people. Like, I understand that that's not technically correct. It's all right, because they're like, well, in the Matrix, they couldn't make it perfect because the first patch got completely destroyed. And I'm like, oh, okay, calm down. But you get the idea. That everyone kind of lives in an awesome, perfect dream world where everything they want happens and nobody fights anymore. But there's this much harder path which is the path Naruto is taking, where you look at other people and try to understand why you don't like them. What is it about them that you see that you don't like? Sometimes it's something in yourself that you see. And I believe that if we were all to think about when we don't like somebody, think about with a character you didn't like in Naruto at first, and try to think, why does that person act the way that they do? And I think that if we do that, we all become heroes in a way. And we all are heroes in a way. Like, for example, maybe once upon a time you were a loud, hyperactive kid, you know, who had a lot of confidence that didn't really match his abilities, you know, like Naruto, like this guy. Oh yeah, that happened. For young ones, this is your future. Yeah, that is 11-year-old Nathan with a really awkward smile. And I watched a lot of Japanese television at a time when no one really did that, and was reading books during recess, and yet like totally thought he could handle himself in a fight against ninjas because he took karate a few times. That was not the case, and because of that, Nathan, 11-year-old Nathan, got beat up a lot. Because people would be like, dude, like, what's your problem? I'd be like, bring it on, come at me, bro. You know, that would be it. That would be the end. But actually, no, this is who I was really talking about. This is the hyperactive knucklehead ninja times 2. You know, but if the next time you see some kid that just like is like question after question after question after question, just think of Naruto going, "Anosai, Anosai, 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 Anosai." Every time he would see Jiraiya, you know, which is basically like, listen up, listen up, listen up, hey. And remember that kid's he just needs you to, or she just needs you to acknowledge that they're there. It's the reason that when you were a kid and you wanted your mother's attention, you would continue to say mother until she acknowledged that you had said it, even if she looked at you. Mom, 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 mom. You know, like that. Well, everyone's seen the Stewie clip. It's on YouTube. You know how that works. And eventually she just couldn't zone you out anymore. And like, what? And you're like, oh, no, I forgot what it was I was gonna say. I spent too long with the moms. Damn, I'm 5. What do you want? And then you have an socially awkward kid with a learning disability and a silly haircut. But he always gets up, no matter how many times you knock him down.
And the most magnificent pair of eyebrows this side of Satsuki.
Oh yes, great eyebrows. Bushy brow. Or a shy little girl that everybody underestimates, except for one guy. And who finds a strength in her that she never knew that she had. Or a dude that everybody thinks is a slacker, who actually is just really efficient. I believe the reason Shikamaru is a genius is because he just realized if I don't become intelligent, I'm going to be doing a lot more work in my life. I think the best avenue of approach for me is to become smart enough to figure out how to do the least amount of work possible in my life. And And I love the fact that he was the only one who passed the tuning exams the first time. The guy who hid through the entire first part of the exams and then quit during his match. Dude, he's like, I've got the upper hand, everything's going great, and I give up. That was awesome. I love that the guy who was hiding and then quits is the dude who passes the tuning exams. And it is Choji. And Choji is another one of those characters I love to death because he's really just a big boned little kid who loves chips and wants to have some friends. If he could do that for the rest of his life and not have to do any fighting, Choji would be a happy man. However, the one thing about Choji that I love is that he never hesitates to lay down his life if it's for a friend. He never does. He doesn't even question it. No matter how scared he is, no matter how outgunned he is, no matter how hungry he is. And the same goes with the last chip. He's a big fan of the last chip. There you go. Gaara. Or maybe, the thing about Gaara is he's that kid, this is kind of how I think about Gaara when I think of him when he was young. You ever have one of those kids that was always angry all the time, when you were little, between 5 and 10? You were pretty sure they were dissecting live rabbits in their bedrooms, they kept the remains in a shoebox under the bed. That was actually what I thought of Gaara when I first saw him. This kid has killed some bunnies. How do you think he developed the Sabakakyu?
Let's not think about that.
The sand coffin, the first victim was a hamster. I'm sure he's made a mess.
Kankuro hamster.
But what's funny though is that I actually met one of those kids that I knew growing up that scared the crap out of me when I was little, who was just constantly seething with anger. He was one of those kids who start hitting himself, when he was starting to get mad, and you're not sure if he's getting ready to go on a killing spree or if that's just what he does, you don't know. And I actually ran into him, and he turned out to be a completely normal, law-abiding, contributing member of society. And I was like, man, I was certain I was going to find you on your prison Facebook page. And, I did not. It was not.
Are you sure he's not a serial killer?
Maybe that just means he's really efficient.
Well, thank you. Now I have that to worry about. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Yeah, no one knew Dexter was a serial killer either. Great. And he was a contributing member of society with a good job. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's going to keep me up from now on. Or maybe, you are the pretty girl, and that's all you are to most people. I've known people like this who they think their only value is their appearance. And I love the fact, though, that she finally stepped up and became more than just, a pretty girl who was always freaking out over Sasuke. Speaking of, or you're a tomboy and you don't care who doesn't like it. I love Tenten. Tenten is, the thing I love about her, she's the most unapologetic character in all of Naruto. If you don't like how she dresses, acts, what she does, she never ever is, not only does she not allow other people to judge her, she very rarely judges herself, except for on taijutsu. But she's very, very non-self-critical. She's very much a take it or leave it kind of character, and I wish more young girls would learn that it's okay to be that way. It is totally okay to judge yourself by your own standard. You do not need anyone else's standards but your own. Or maybe you're a transgender kid. Who's prettier than Sakura? Hey, Naruto's words, not mine. But yeah, who can still kill you? And no. A transgender kid who's just looking for someone, anyone, to return the love they keep putting out, and it keeps getting rejected over and over again. I think being nearly killed by your own father is pretty much one of the most traumatic things a person can go through. And also immediately after watching him end your mother probably adds to it. I don't know, I haven't had that happen to me. But, you know, I think, and then of course, you know, several years of homelessness and fighting dogs for food, you know, I think if I was shown up after I had gone through all that, I would have been like, absolutely, sir. I would love to hang out with you. Could I have a red bean bun, please?
And a radish.
Or a lonely little boy who just wants his parents back. And he was. But at one point, he was this. That's the thing. Sasori is turned himself into an abomination, but at one point in his life, he was just a kid who wanted his parents back. And maybe if old Shiobasama had done something more to acknowledge that, instead of lying to him about where his parents were, and going, hey, you know what I think would be great for this kid? Let me make puppets that kill people. After she walked in on this. If you, just to let you know, hypothetically speaking, if you ever walk in on this, okay, letting this kid make puppets that kill people is a bad idea, alright? Like, give him some therapy first, alright? Like let's work through those problems before we start giving him things that are lethal. Or maybe you're this guy. Hey, you're the cool kid. Or the angsty cool kid with the chip on his shoulder. Such a cliche. But, and I still haven't decided how I want to feel about Sasuke. I tend to not like him. I am very team Naruto. I'm not very team Sasuke. However, I have learned to feel a little more sympathy for him in recent years because of what we've learned about what's happened with what really went on when the Uchiha clan was slaughtered. I feel the same about his brother. You know, I don't want to poke him in the eye anymore. And I love this picture. This is like one of the best pictures I found on Google of Sakura because you have, you know, the big forehead in the beginning, and like the forehead like has a gradual like evolution of the forehead. What I think is so funny is that I always wonder, like, in Japan, is that big of a deal? Like in Japanese culture, like you have a big forehead, you're ugly. Like really? That's it? Just a big forehead. That's your worst criticism. I'm like, man, it's really hard to be pretty in Japan. What I like about, you've got the brainy girl in class that always raises her hand and is like, why aren't you good at math? I know math. You're horrible at math. I'm sorry, I'm projecting. But you know, you've got the brainy kid in class who you know, is wants to be noticed by the cool guy. And she kind of she becomes what I call a late bloomer and comes into her own and learns to stand on her own 2 feet and put her fist through a boulder, which is great, which is also very useful. Or you have Neji. Don't move, no. Stop it. It's not gonna happen. I made a promise. Shut it. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Neji. No, I'm just kidding. Or, you know, you got the stuck-up kid who thinks he is all that in a bag of chips, and but finally learns that humility and sacrifice make him a much happier person. And I'm moving on now. That's all. Oh, there's this one. And you know, it's funny because last year I remember, and some of you called me on this. Last year I was not caught up on the episodes yet. And when I talked about how we don't know, you know, a lot of these characters, we don't like them, then we find out things about them. I mentioned the fact that the only one I didn't think I could ever feel sorry for at all was Orochimaru and Kabuto. And a lot of you afterwards asked me, so like, you haven't seen what's happened lately, have you? And I was like, no, and thank God, thank you for not telling me what happened. But I now understand what you were freaking out about. Because I heard like this collective gasp go through the room when I said Kabuto, like everyone was like, how dare he? But, you know, So you find out that Kabuto was once just a lost little boy without a name who became an even more lost man. And still, holy crap, Kabuto, like that. Even Orochimaru was like, dude, take it back a step. Like when they extracted the cells from him, like Orochimaru was even like, holy crap, man, did you do this? Like, it was weird. But you do learn, and I always wonder why he was called Kabuto, which Kabuto, if I guess most of you know this by now, if you've seen the anime, Kabuto is a type of helmet. And I always wonder because he doesn't wear one. And I was like, and he had no parents, so I'm like, okay, like, does his dad wear a Kabuto? Like, I always wondered about it. Now it totally makes sense now, because there was a Kabuto in the orphanage. And they were apparently that's how you name kids in an orphanage. You're just like, your name is Lamb. We're gonna call you Kabuto. Your name is Microphone.
His teammate was called Armor, so
Meet your new brother Carpet.